I feel like we've done this before. I feel like we've done this before. Reboot from Asteroid G. You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, is...
Jason Momoa.
And I'm Queen Bee.
And this week, we are going to be talking about Justice League. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the Zack Snyder / Joss Whedon film from, what was that? It's already almost 4 years ago at this point. That DC was both super hyping up and then realized was a tragic piece of shit and has been trying to backpedal away from as fast as they can. But they're doing it in, multiple directions. They put out Shazam, which was a light-hearted, family-friendly movie. They put out Wonder Woman 2, which tries to pretend that nothing that occurred beforehand actually happened because it's set in the 80s. They put out Birds of Prey, which ignores basically everything, including Suicide Squad, as best as it can. It's really weird what DC is doing, and they have no clue how to make their extended universe, which is apparent from every movie they've put out in their extended universe. But Zack Snyder got to make his new version of Justice League. He got a giant budget, got to get all the actors back so he could crank out his own vision of what Justice League was supposed to be, and it's going to air in 4 parts or something on HBO Max, which, oh my god, 4 hours of Justice League. I don't know if I can take it. So, if Zack Snyder can be allowed to take a movie that was made, edit out everything he doesn't want, or film a bunch of new shit, and make a new version of Justice League, why can't anyone else? So this is what I am proposing to everyone. Let's assume Hollywood gives us a budget to make any version of Justice League we want. We have to use at least a little of the footage and all the actors, although you can cast new actors and new roles if you want. But you get to make your version of Zack Snyder's Justice League. What will it be?
So you're saying that we have the same cast that he's stuck with too, or we can cast whatever we want?
You can cast whoever you want in other roles, but you are stuck, because you have to use footage from the original movie, you're stuck with the same actors from the original movie.
Okay, that's what I thought. Cool.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first, because you guys know DC a lot better than I do, but I would say I would use the same cast. I really like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I really enjoy Momoa as Aquaman, and those were probably the best 3 movies out of the entire series thus far. I'm coming around to Superman, and who's the actor who plays him? He's also Witcher. What's his name?
Henry Cavill.
There we go. Henry Cavill. I've never been a fan of Henry Cavill until Witcher. And I guess that kind of just flipped that switch for me. So I like him in Witcher, so I've started seeing him in other things. And okay, Ben Affleck, whatever. As Batman is fine. I really like the guy who plays Flash. He has a weird name. Ezra. He's great. So I would keep those 5. That is 5, right? Yes, sure. 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I would basically take out the monster and replace the villain, because the villain sucks. If you're going to have a villain, just have the sorceress be the villain, not some weird bubble demon maker who doesn't make sense. Wait, no, that wasn't it, was it? It was, who was the villain in that film?
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, Steppenwolf.
That's literally his name.
Oh, well, that villain sucked too. I think I'm mixing up Suicide Squad and Justice League. But regardless, step up your villains. Everybody wants to see not only classic villains, but decent villains. And when you find better villains in the TV versions of these kind of shows, you're missing out. So find better villains. Get rid of that villain. Steppenwolf was forgettable, clearly. So find a better villain. And if I'm going to have to find a better villain of Steppenwolf, who played Steppenwolf in this movie?
A bunch of CGI.
Oh, okay. So really any CGI would do, right?
Sure.
So why don't we get actual Legion of Doom into this movie, as opposed to some strange villain that nobody gives a shit about? So I would bring in a whole new crew to play the villains, and I would get some pretty decent actors to play those villains. Maybe even take from the MCU heroes and bring them in as new villains, creating new villains. I don't like Jared Leto as the Joker, so we'd have to find a different Joker. But maybe we could have brought in Harley Quinn, who played Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie. Have her be a part of the villain, because she's a great villain. She's also a great hero, and then that would kind of tie in all the movies that she's going to be in for DC anyway. You could bring in some of the other villains that you've already had in movies that we've liked, which have been none, but we could find better ones. Maybe make some of maybe make them fight people who aren't necessarily villains, but because they aren't well known, you could bring them in as someone to fight, like they were doing Batman against Superman. Why couldn't we bring somebody in from Green Lantern?
Well, like you're talking Sinestro or one of them. The Death Corps, there's another one right there that you could do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you could bring those in, and then you could actually introduce Green Lantern.
I mean, on this point of making new villains, there are some ones that you could do that would actually work really well. Whatever plan Zack Snyder had for the Joker could easily be shifted over to the Riddler. I mean, Josh, you and I know from the Hush comic book series that Riddler can make actually a very effective villain in the same vein as the Joker, only slightly different. He's always felt like an off-brand Joker to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on how he's written, for sure.
I mean, bring back Bane for, if you didn't want to have to do Joker.
If you do that,
bring back Bane.
If you do that, it has to be the Bane from the Harley Quinn series. I'm just saying. The streets will run red with Strawberry Supreme.
I think Tom Hardy could do that. I think Tom Hardy could do it.
Him doing a put-upon office worker version of Bane would be absolutely fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And I would go and watch Zack Snyder's movie if he did that. I would.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Deadshot, not really. He's kind of boring. Doomsday, Deathstroke.
I liked Will Smith's version of Deadshot. I don't think the movies used him very well, but I liked his performance.
They kind of have Gorilla Grodd in The Flash, and they just showed Solomon Grundy in Stargirl. But, I mean, Bane, Scarecrow, I guess they've kind of already been done. But maybe bring in some women as, a woman of a female version, if you will, of some...
Well, they just did that with not just, but Into the Spider-Verse with the female version of Doc Ock. So you could easily recast like an alternate version of one of them, and that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Right, like maybe Veronica Cale or I didn't even know that was a villain, Psycho Pirate. Dr. Savannah. The 7 Deadly Sins. That would have been great. Bring in the 7 Deadly Sins. That would be something to watch.
There we go. Josh, what do you got for us?
Well, first I would have fired Zack Snyder before he started the project.
Yes. I mean, never would have let it get this far. So
yeah. And I also wouldn't have attached Joss Whedon because Joss Whedon's Avengers movie was trash. Like
the first one?
The second one. Didn't he do the second one?
He did both the first and the second.
Yeah. So, funny story about that. When Josette and I watched, because we were watching all the Marvel movies in order, and somehow we forgot to watch Age of Ultron.
Okay.
And we never realized it until someone was asked, and I think it was you actually, we're talking about like a specific part of Age of Ultron, and we were like, that wasn't in that movie.
For this
and
podcast,
then we realized we never watched the movie.
Yeah.
And, so,
really
and then we watched the movie and felt like, no, we didn't miss anything. I was like, this is a dumbass movie.
Yeah, well,
but
some of that is the fault of Marvel getting a little ahead of themselves and basically doing a DC before, and then realizing it to their credit and kind of stepping back their ambitions a little about how much they had to seed into movies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But also, like, Joss Whedon's also been kind of tarnished for me.
He's a hack director now. I don't enjoy him anymore.
Yeah. But pretending that we live in a universe where Zack Snyder, for some reason, is the only person that can direct DC movies.
Oh no.
Because apparently we live in that society now. We're in the worst timeline.
I look forward to Zack Snyder's Shazam.
Oh, like, and I know I've said this like a million times in the past, but there's absolutely no reason why every comic book movie that he touches has to be dark and gritty.
No.
It works for Watchmen. It works for 300. Doesn't work for Superman. Doesn't work for Justice League. Like, he just needs to, pump up the contrast a little. I don't know.
I mean, the irony is that a character that would work well for him is just Batman on his own in like a golden age setting. But that's not the character he's ever been given.
Nope.
Or like a Punisher. I honestly think he could probably do some interesting things with Punisher. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Like, and honestly, like, if they wanted to do a New Gods movie, it's kind of dark and gritty. I could see him doing like an actual Steppenwolf movie. It would suck because, I mean, he proved he couldn't handle the content with his Justice League movie, but
I mean, you could do like, what is it though? The Punisher where he basically goes to hell and then like kills everyone in the Marvel universe. Like, him doing a version of that would be hilarious and would be right up Zack Snyder's alley because it doesn't have to be comprehensible. It just has to be a bunch of action.
Yeah, I mean, because Warner Brothers is pretty much saying, it's like, okay, so this dude who was known primarily for his horror movies, we're going to give him...
psychedelic shit, yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to give him the keys to the DC universe and have him compete with Marvel, who is actually bringing in a lot of real talent, and actually is using the source material for something, and we're just going to give him free reign to do whatever he wants. So,
well, I mean, and I find it weird that they looked at the guy, gave him the keys to Watchmen, saw Watchmen, and thought, yeah, this is the guy we want to keep working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, I never thought, like I liked the Watchmen movie, like, enough. Like, I gave it, like, a B- maybe, C+. But he made the Watchmen too dark. Like...
Yeah, which is weird.
Because it's a dark book.
Yeah, but he went too far past the point. Like, crossed the line twice kind of thing.
Yeah. Which is fine. 300 worked because, I mean, 300 was a shitty book to begin with. So
Frank Miller.
You can only improve. Yeah. Oh, Frank Miller.
I mean, that's the thing. You want to have Zack Snyder direct something that is actually Zack Snyder-y enough for him? Sin City. I could see him doing okay with that.
Sin City. Yeah. I could see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if he wants to stay in comic books, like, Sin City would be great for him. Preacher, I could see him do Preacher.
Yeah. But you are right. I can't see him do, and having seen him do, I can't see him do Superman or Wonder Woman or any of those bright and happy people.
Yeah, because, like, the point of Superman is he was supposed to be, like, a symbol of hope and justice and yada, 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 not, I'm going to snap motherfuckers' necks in space.
Well, and I mean, I'm not saying that Superman can't do that. He does do that in, like, the 1980s Byrne series. But there's build-up to it that doesn't happen in Zack Snyder's movie because Zack Snyder is ADD and hopped up on sugar and his own ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, now that we're done shitting on Zack Snyder, what's your actual story?
So I would just keep, like, it's kind of along the same lines as what B said, because in all honesty, like, I didn't mind Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was a little old for it. And I think it would have been kind of cool to do like a Batman Beyond thing where you replaced him mid-movie.
Yeah.
So bring someone else in to play Batman because, Ben Affleck's too old to be Batman. I mean, I'm not saying he's physically too old, but the character is like...
He's older than what Batman should be at that point in his life.
Right.
Yes.
And then you can like kind of forgive the BS with the Joker and stuff because it's like, you can be like, oh, this is the third iteration of Joker because this takes place in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of fixes that continuity problem a little bit, but...
And I mean,
honestly,
in fairness to you, if they wanted to do that by doing a prequel movie with Ben Affleck's Batman, where he's fighting a different Joker and then it's all kind of explained away at the end, I'd still accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could too.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, Ben Affleck isn't a unique looking individual, so like I'm sure you can find someone that kind of looks like him. But and honestly, like after seeing the trailer for the Batman with Robert Pattinson, it kind of looks cool. Like I'm interested to kind of see where that goes. And as Twilight aside, Robert Pattinson's not a bad actor, so I think he could have probably filled in for that role a little bit. But yeah, Jared Leto as the Joker doesn't make sense to me either.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. But I would say instead of doing like an obscure villain like the New Gods, because it's really convoluted, and even in the comic books, it doesn't make much sense because it's Jack Kirby probably doing a bunch of coke in the 70s.
Yeah.
And ironically, I'm pretty sure the New Gods was created to give Marvel the middle finger.
Oh yeah.
So
wasn't it like their weird answer to like the Avengers and all that at the time?
Something, yeah, I can't remember the specifics of it.
It was motivated by something that Marvel was doing that was similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say like just use the source material. If memory serves, Despero was the first Justice League villain, and he was what caused all the villains to, or not the villains, the JLA to assemble for the first time. So just use him. Like, he's a big space alien dude, kind of Hulk-like, I guess. So like, you can just replace Steppenwolf altogether and just, bye. Or if you want to be goofy, which I like the Justice League being goofy, use like something like Starro, the giant starfish that mind controls people. Like,
that'd be great.
That would have been cool too. Yeah, because I especially in like today's society, I feel like I'm tired of seeing like dark stuff every time I turn on the TV. Like, everything's like, how depressing can we get before people just hang themselves in their garage or something? Like, it's just, I would like to see more lighthearted superhero stuff where it's like, there's a real threat, but it's kind of goofy, and I think Marvel's done a good job for the most part with that. But but DC
the most recent WandaVision that has that same tone to it.
Yeah, like DC's just missed that boat, and I feel like it's, as a DC fanboy, like I feel like it's almost a personal insult because it's like they're telling us to enjoy this, and it's clearly just a cash grab.
Oh yeah.
Like, and the fact that Snyder gets a third try at remaking this, or second try, or whatever.
I know.
Like, that's like, I can't, like, I'm not saying I'm a film history genius or anything, but I can't recall another time a major studio has let someone redo a film so many times.
I know. For
absolutely no purpose, especially a film that didn't do well or very well in the box office internationally, is generally just slammed in the media and reviews. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what the draw is. I don't understand where the money's coming from. I don't understand why they're wasting their time on it. Like they should do what Universal did with the Universal monster movies and just be like, well, The Mummy was a terrible idea. Like, thank you, Tom Cruise, for trying to help out.
Yeah.
We're just killing this. We're going to sit on this for 5 to 10 years and we're going to try again. Like, that's what DC should have done. DC should have, pulled some weight and just been like, we're going to shelf the DCU for a little bit, and then we're just going to mirror what Marvel's doing completely after, like, because it's been a decade at this point since MCU started. Yeah.
And they have another 20 years worth of movies thought up already. So.
Yeah. And DC can't figure out this, like, well, we have, how many different Jokers are there now? 3?
Something like,
Or, well, if you count Jack Nicholson, 4.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and then, like, you have the DC animated universe, and it's just like I would just like some consistency, because I kind of, I don't know, I guess jealousy or maybe envious a little bit, but, like, and I'm going to sound like super privileged when I say this, because there's clearly worse things in the world right now, but I feel super cheated and super envious and jealous that all these Marvel fanboys and fangirls get to see their movies on the big screen, and they're all generally pretty decent movies, and then we get, Justice League or Green Lantern. I can tell you
right now that the CW that is doing the TV shows, they're doing far better than the movies that are being put out. And so they need to take a nod of the director and the producers who are doing those. Is it Greg Berlanti?
Yeah, Greg Berlanti.
Yeah, who is also doing the Riverdales and the Sabrinas and the stuff like that. They need to basically kind of take a a step from him. Not only do they need to recreate their characters, but keep the ones that are good and get rid of the ones that are terrible, but they also need to bring in new, not necessarily new characters, but characters that haven't been seen yet. And they need to bring in more females. They need to bring in more gay characters. That's what's going on right now. So you have to mimic what's going on in real life right now, which means you have to have Black characters, you have to have gay characters, you have to have females. White is on its way out. You need to bring in that color.
And then you can get a
Which is crazy because DC has so many characters like that.
Yeah. So, because they were the ones to originally write them.
Right?
So put them on screen and stop dicking around.
And they have and DC has so many like high-tiered authors that I can't believe that they're not reaching out to like Gail Simone or Jim Lee or literally any of the other dozens of comic book artists and authors that they have out there for any development on these stories. It's just like, I don't know, it just seems like just
they really need to stop bringing in directors who clearly don't have a clear vision. And they keep doing that. And they also, I mean, I like Joss Whedon as a director, and I like some of his writing styles. Unfortunately, he's kind of a prick. So, you know, you have to you got to find new ones. You got to be open to new direction, and you have to be open to what's out there now and stop looking at, oh, who did we have for this film? That didn't work. Stop looking at the directors that didn't work. Look at the directors who directed The Invisible Man.
Some dude. It wasn't a name I recognized before. And I thought it was a woman originally, but no, it was a guy who directed that, which made me just a little sad. Because, I mean, it's a female-driven movie.
Done really well.
Yeah, it's a female-driven movie with a female voice to it, and I would have liked to have seen a female director behind it as well.
Leigh Whannell is the one who did it. And they also wrote the screenplay and the screen story. So clearly, whoever this Leigh Whannell is...
They had a good voice. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, knows what he's doing. And so get him to start directing your Universal horror movies instead of giving it to the Zack Snyders of the world and the Kevin Smiths of the world who clearly have no idea what they're doing. Give more to the director of Wonder Woman. What's her name? Patty Jenkins. Give more to Patty Jenkins. She clearly knows how to create a movie. Wonder Woman's not the best. Again, you got to bring in better villains. But if you could work with that and do a little bit more of that, you might actually have a DC universe that's worth watching.
Yeah, I agree. And I think DC or Warner Brothers, I shouldn't say DC, Warner Brothers also does that. It seems they do this thing where it's like, you know, all those nerds really liked Firefly. Let's just bring Joss on this product.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like they're pandering too much. And I'd much rather see, like, you know, kind of like independent-ish type things like I don't know. I feel like you should have Tom Cruise be in charge of the entire DCU because, like, he's like, you know what? I really liked Brandon Bird stuff, so we're gonna bring him in. I know he only does animated stuff, but guess what? He's gonna be doing a Mission Impossible movie now. Whee!
Well, Tom Cruise has full control over his movies. It's always written into his contract.
Which is why Mummy sucked, while other ones have been okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he should have never done a movie like that, period. He's not a horror actor. No. He's a action actor, and that's why the Mummy sucked. There was too much action in it, not enough horror.
That's called the Universal seeing how much the Mission Impossible movies were making and just throwing a bunch of money at Tom Cruise.
Yes, that's exactly what that was.
Anyway, okay, so I have ideas about what to do for Justice League to get us, you know, somewhat back on track. So I have two. One is, so we keep Steppenwolf, but instead of it being Steppenwolf the villain, it's Steppenwolf the band. And
keep going.
Oh yeah, and so it's them. Steppenwolf has somehow or another gained supernatural powers, and they have been releasing music that is brainwashing the entirety of the world. So the Justice League has to strap on instruments Archie style and go on tour doing a musical magical mystery tour to defeat the band Steppenwolf.
That sounds very Scooby-Doo. I like it.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
still better than what Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon did for their movie. And I would love to see just like Wonder Woman with a tambourine and like, you know, Batman in back grumpily hitting drums. I think that would be fantastic. The other one I have that's actually much more serious, and this is the one that I've really been brewing, but I like the idea of the Justice League doing an Archie's one. So everyone complains that, as we were just doing for 28 minutes now, that the Zack Snyder films are too dark. And it's true. They are way too dark, and they don't feel like the Justice League we expect. So my thought is having to keep all the actors that we have and having to acknowledge the fact that the continuity that exists right now still exists. We set our current Justice League extended universe on Earth 3. And Josh knows exactly where I'm going with from this right now. So the guys that we have there, Wonder Woman, I mean, the Wonder Woman movies you can kind of split out and do like a Golden Age, Silver Age kind of thing, because she's got a bright and shiny version, and she's got the one that she does when she's in like Justice League right now. So you do the thing that Joss Whedon did, or not Joss Whedon, where Zack Snyder did for his new one, where he brings back Superman, but Superman's in his black suit, and he's kind of, bad. And like Dark Siege shows up and everything else. And you have the war with Darkseid go poorly. And so what happens is that all of these guys, like, even if they defeat Darkseid, they go bad. They take the darkness to the last level, and they go bad. And Superman becomes, Overman or Uberman or whatever it is. And then you have Superwoman and Owlman or some variation on these. And that's like the first act and a half of the Justice League movie. And from there, you then have, like, the Flash, the only one that actually seems bright and happy in that universe, like, try to flee from the other heroes that have gone bad, accidentally crosses over into a new version of the universe and ends up in one that's actually much more like the comic book heroes we expect. Batman doesn't use a gun. Superman never had to snap someone's neck. Wonder Woman is the Wonder Woman we saw in, like, just Wonder Woman 1984. And these are the ones that he uses to fight the ones on Earth 3 that are the bad ones, and that way you can keep all the continuity, and with only a slight nod, explain how these stories are different, and yay, you know, they're much nicer, and that's the version of continuity we have going forward.
I mean, that fixes a lot of issues.
It fixes everything.
It does. It does fix everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Are we sure that that's not going to happen in the Flash movie?
God, wouldn't that be fucking great? If
It would
that
be
was the
amazing.
case? Oh my god. Yeah, so you just reboot continuity without, like, hard rebooting it. Because you acknowledge all of this stuff still exists. And it's on this other Earth. And if we ever want to revisit it, we can. But Flash with his new team of Justice League people, and if you really want to make it different, call them Justice Society or, like, JLA or something else. They fight the Earth 3 people, seal off Earth 3 into its own pocket so they can't easily come over to our universe. And we just carry forward with this new version of the universe. And maybe they also strap on guitars and fight Steppenwolf.
I'm still okay with them strapping on guitars and fighting Steppenwolf. I like that idea.
I do too.
Best version of it we found. Damn it.
And they bring in the original Scooby-Doo gang too.
Yeah,
I think
at
that
some
would
point,
be
yeah,
great.
I mean-
It'll be a battle of the bands.
Sure, they've crossed over with them. Josh?
Oh, I was gonna say, I have a feeling that Warner Brothers is gonna kill the whole DCU within the next like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I would not doubt that. They'll if the Flash reboot of at what is it? They're literally doing Flashpoint there. If that doesn't work, then I assume they're just going to kill everything, take like 3 years off, and just put out a new Batman, or just use the Batman movie they have, The Batman, and use that to launch a new universe, and then just pretend nothing else happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see them going into what would be smart of them to do would just make all these movies they want to do and just make them animated instead and use their animation studio that's already wildly successful and just make them big budget stuff.
I'd watch that. I also
yeah.
kind of want to see like a police squad version of it where you have like goofy versions of like the heroes and they're like Justice League comedy, but the subtitle on it that the is different and the announcer is like the Bantam Batman plays badminton or something, you know? Just like that'd be fucking great.
Like just everything is Batmite in ambush mode.
I know, right? There's so much better you could do with this universe, DC. God damn it.
Well, it does look like they're doing a Justice League Part 2.
Well,
And there is a
And
Wonder
Part
Woman
3.
3.
yep. Aquaman 2 and The Trench, which whatever.
I
Anyway,
did like Black Mantis.
the
Is that his-
character.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Aquaman?
I liked Aquaman's villain, which is why I really enjoyed Aquaman the movie.
Black Manta. Yeah.
And so far, that movie has had the best villain.
Well, yeah. His brother, his stepbrother, whatever. His brother was not nearly as interesting. The Ocean King or whatever his name was.
Yeah, no, he's lame.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
But it was still a better film than like or in general than a lot of the other stuff, except for like 2/3 of Wonder Woman that had come before. So
Right.
like it's really weird, but it also proves the power of just ignoring everything else that was going on. That the best DC movie they've had out is still Shazam.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's because it wasn't very serious and they had fun with it.
And it wasn't connected to anything. Like there's a half cameo of Superman and that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Are we done rebooting Zack Snyder's shittiness?
I think we got.
I mean, I could reboot Zack Snyder movies all day long. Let's go do Dawn of the Dead next. I mean,
also, we should just have everything directed by Michael Bay because that'd still be better.
it would still be better. That is true. Like it would be awful, but it would at least be much more watchable.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Especially if Nick Cage plays every character.
Oh, that would be amazing. Can we do that?
Nick Cage as Wonder Woman.
Like, we're going to talk about this the next time we do an actual nerd news. But like, I do want to point out they are making a Face-Off sequel. An actual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are. And there is a Shazam Fury of the Gods coming out in 2023.
I was
Fury of
amused
the
by
Gods.
Fury of the Gods. Does he just go to a convention and like?
Yes,
I didn't write it. But yes, there is going to be a second Shazam. So
Shazam! I just felt like I had to say that. I'm sorry. Okay, I think we're good. So this has been Shitting on Zack Snyder with Mike Finkelstein.
And Josh, Michael Bay's better, Schaefer.
and Queen Bee.
And we will see you next time.